before I go on, before I trip. In fact, my plantar fasciitis is hurting like hell these days. It's because I'm unable to stop walking. Rest is needed and specific exercises are needed. I only do about a handful, and apparently you've got to do them for 12 weeks, which is a pain, but plantar fasciitis won't disappear unless you do that. So it hurt too much. I did about 14,000 steps on Saturday, and on Sunday I could barely move, and I thought it feels as if you're walking on a bone basically. And the thought of doing stretches and such for my feet was too much. So I just sat down and thought. I think I may have mentioned it before. Thinking too much is never good for a single person. Anyway, this is a woodland on the other side of the island. Anyway, you go over the top, which is that way, and it will bring you down to Llandonna Beach, which is part of Red Wolf Bay, which is where the Thetis, a submarine, went down and didn't come up pre-war, last one. Appalling, simply because it was a bit of paint over a valve reading and people didn't see it. That was it, too late gone. I think two or three people survived. And this is a woodland. This is far denser than the one we were in last week, which is Newborough. This is far denser. I hadn't realised. I haven't been here for a number of years. The reason I've been here for a number of years is because, I don't know, seem to focus on one side of the island, I suppose. But it's a great place because it is so dense that you only have to go, I don't know, about 50 feet in any direction, and you're away from any form of human presence. It's like being in the jungle. Good news is that if somebody were to try and sneak up on you, you'd have to do it very noisily, and they would give you a clue so you could start running. Spoke about cryptids last week. Cryptid is an animal that is purported to exist, and that's something else I noticed here. I haven't seen a bird, I haven't heard an animal. I've heard trees, I've heard things snap, but I haven't seen a single animal or bird, which is strange. But there isn't an uncanny silence here at all. A cryptid is something that is unknown, alleged to exist. They go that way, I go, is this the way? Oh God, which way did I come? Getting lost already. Let's try this one, it probably goes around anyway. Whoops. Is it the one? I think it is the one. I recognise the tree if nothing else. In terms of cryptids, people mostly think in terms of humanoid shapes, Yeti and stuff like this. I think, am I on the right side here? I haven't got a clue where I am. Path comes down and joins. Okay, that's good. Is that mark of Satan or a mark of pre-surgeon? Are there any difference? Yeah, the humanoid, because we realise that humans in general are the most dangerous animal out there. Nothing scares us more than a grinning human. It's got a plan. But a cryptid can also be Loch Ness Monster. The grey, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. Alistair Crowley, most evil man in Britain, allegedly. I think I've worked with a few. He manifested by magic spell and shit like that in Central Park, 1918. A creature called Lamb, a demon probably, alleged. I think most of the stuff he did was alleged. If there was no money in it, he wasn't interested, so there must have been money involved in persuading people that Lamb existed. There's never been a picture of a lamb that are reports, and I suppose people in hysterical state of mind will see anything and believe it's something. Shadows moving, you know. So lamb is, like most extraterrestrials, it is a cryptid because there is no, whoops, yeah. There is no evidence to prove that exists. There's no proof. There's nothing to prove that any extraterrestrial exists. You know, you get fed up of believing that they are hidden. And it's the same, I suppose, with cryptids, because people want to believe they exist. And in an area like this, okay, a bigger woodland maybe, and this is quite big, you'd expect to have a cryptid, let's say a Sasquatch. You know, the guy in the gorilla suit, which I still find funny. But really, it's true, yeah. Some people just want to believe. I choose not to believe. In order to get healthy Yeti, healthy Sasquatch, healthy anything really, you need in human terms, let's talk in human terms, you need at least 300 to 500 people. Reason for that is you need to be able to be wary and breed out anything that is like the 300. And it must be the same in communities of cryptids, whether Wolfmen, whether dogmen, moth persons, dog persons, doggy type persons, wendigo persons, skinwalkers, shapeshifters, Loch Ness Monster, hope, bliss, joy. Get back to them. So these cryptids are so important to us, and there's an industry and stories about them. You know, yet to see a picture, yet to see one. But the thing is, you need 300 to 500 of them to breed out, and very healthy, but to breed out the possibility of two recessive genes coming together and creating something anomalous, something that is not healthy, something that will die, something that probably will break wind as you're trying to sneak up on a nice looking meal up here. Bloody fly, maybe you can hear it. I'm not scared. So in a place like this, which is big but not massive, if there were a beastie here, an alleged beastie, a cryptid of some sort, then it would have to be part of a community. It really would. And there would be many more sightings, quite simply because they may be solitary animals. They may well be solitary animals, however, they need to get together to boogie woogie now and then. Call nature comes. No disco music, no chocolates and flowers, just grunt. Didn't really like him anyway, and then it's done. But if there are two recessive genes, then it will become dominant, and therefore you go wrong. But then maybe they'll die off. But then again, that's the number of your population gone. So there should be more. Okay, there's one here possibly. Maybe it's me. I'm alleged to exist. I do exist. So I'm not cryptid. What's that? Flight. That's not an instruction. Yeah, should be many more sightings, and yet there aren't any. Doesn't matter where you go, they're solitary, fine, but you need 300 to 500 in order to sustain a healthy population. So where are they? What do they do when they're not being spotted? Do they have a community? Do they have a community hall? Do they play cards? Do they socialise? Do they play cards? Do they have competitions to break wind? Hang on, I'm like the poker waving my hands. All I'm doing is trying to push away a fly that seems to be very attracted to me. So therefore, they can't exist. However, people want to believe they exist, and so maybe they do exist. Hang on. What was I going to say? Yeah, I've got shoes of leather today. I got trainers in green. Oh, Reebok. My knees. My foot is bad today. Thankfully I'm brave. BabaRamDass was an American. Last I heard, he had a stroke. So he may. I hope he's alive. Wonderful guy. Great storyteller. Got some tapes. Go online if you can find any BabaRamDass sharing any stories. Listen to them. They're fascinating, and there's some lovely lessons in there which you can accept or not. You know, don't need to accept what anybody says, but if they sound good and if they ring true with your sense of values, then, you know, listen to them. Have a look. The world seems to want to disturb me, not as if I've got anything of value to say. Tell you what, get up there. This little bastard likes me. Is it here? That goes up to the house. That goes up to the house. That goes up to the house. Good. So here we are. BabaRamDass. He, oh, somebody walking up. Down. I was walking up. He had a guru. He was a friend of Tim Leary's. Timothy Leary in 1960. Some of you might know. Was into drugs and with a purpose. And the purpose was to turn on, tune in and drop out, I think. But it was about achieving a state of transcendence that could extend throughout your day, throughout your life, living in a state of bliss. Yeah, lovely. I like the thought of that. And yeah, living in a constant state of bliss. They took drugs. And they were quite specific in the drugs, quite knowledgeable. But nothing kept them high, kept them in a state of bliss, of joy, of transcendence. BabaRamDass eventually decided that drugs didn't work, pharmaceuticals didn't work, so he got into the esoteric stuff, the meditation, the yoga, and he went abroad and he travelled in India, travelled in the Himalayas, and found himself a guru. And he was a very small guy, bubbly, joyous, and seemed to have achieved that state. And he would go anywhere, just follow any whim. So he had, like a butterfly, he had a guardian with him at all times in order to keep an eye on him. This is what they did. So one day BabaRamDass was contemplating his navel, probably in a hut in the Himalayas, and this little guy just burst in the room with this other guy breathless chasing him, and he just shouted across to BabaRamDass, "If you wear shoes of leather, then the whole world is covered in leather." I worked this out. I'll make a good pope, I reckon. I worked it out eventually. Didn't understand it at all. I told you, not the sharpest tool in the box, never the most intelligent person in any room. So I worked it out. What he was saying is, if you wear shoes of leather, the whole world is covered in leather. In other words, wherever you walk, if your shoes are made of leather, the ground is made of leather. He meant that whatever your point of view, your viewpoint, your opinion, your philosophy, your outlook on anything controls how you look at the world. You can look at the world as a victim, you can look at the world as a place where people can be manipulated. If you're a bully, if you're a narcissist, if you're violent, all you'll see is people giving you reason to attack them, to be violent, whether it be behavioural or psychological. And also hatred through racism, generally being discriminatory, being prejudiced against people quite simply because they weren't you. They were wearing different shoes, not necessarily of leather, but they were wearing different shoes. I was thinking about that the other day. Cryptids, back to that for a moment. People want cryptids to exist. The battery's going. Bear with me. Have a look at that as we fade out. Oh, look at that. Sunshine. Didn't expect that. Promising dull, followed by more dull and even different versions of dull. So my shoes are leather for today. I was wearing the wrong ones this morning, and now I'm appreciative of what we got, so therefore I'm changing my shoes. Yeah, so people will impose their own shoes on you, in a sense, their own opinions, and expect you to behave. People do not want to be part of an out-group. They hate it. They despise it. Nobody wants to be alone. The only things I know that want to be alone are people like me who fine alone. When I was with people, being alone made me feel uncomfortable. I once left those people who were wearing the wrong shoes. I never felt lonely after that. It's amazing. Probably was waiting to or wanting to be elsewhere. That's simple. So, BabaRamDass and other shoes. Cryptids. Cryptids are alleged to exist because people want them to exist. It's that simple. Explains noises in the forest. If you're this is Anglesey, so I imagine that. Where are we going? I imagine that the Druids here, as I said, it was the Druid HQ, Britannic HQ of the Druids, that they created their own cryptids, these monsters that would come through in certain dark spaces where they didn't want any of the locals to go. That the Druids would create these monsters and demand people's imagination, and people would believe them because who's going to argue with the Druid? Is that another wall? It's an interesting place. It really is. Rock. Strange. Be a good pope. So what was I saying? That's why the bugger's coming after me. I'm sweating like a pig. That's a cryptid. They don't exist. I haven't seen one. I've been in a spaceship. I chose to be objectively cynical. They may exist. No evidence yet. So until there is evidence, more than human belief, we need to believe them. They just don't exist. So people want to get you into shoes that they've fashioned, whether it's a political party, whether it's for some intent or other. And you can choose to, you can choose not to. Eventually people wise up. Hello! Let me see. Anyway, these cryptid truths, these cryptid beliefs are alleged to exist, but there's no evidence for them in our lives. You know, as I said, probably mentioned before, bliss, joy, happiness, sense of completeness, success, achieving things in a sense like you want to achieve, not other people want to achieve. We end up believing the most ridiculous things about ourselves, quite simply because we wear shoes of leather created by somebody else. We're too fearful to do anything about it. So we end up not believing. Here we go. Those are the noise. That's the noise. There. Those trees. They're the ones knocking against each other. It's not a cryptid. I thought it was a cryptid. It's just one tree smashing into the other. But you know, oh, that's interesting. It's either a cryptid or stick of the dump. That is interesting. I wonder what that noise is. Is it a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot? That noise. Was it up there? It's certainly worth visiting. If a cryptid were to sneak up on me now, then it would make up a hell of a noise. And all I need to do is step to one side. And it would run that way. And I know there's a little drop. Nothing substantial. Just enough for comic effect. Anyway, I used to have a dream as a kid. Not a dream, it was a waking nightmare. I used to look at the moon rising on the surface in summer, and it hadn't rained for ages, like here now really. And as it just rises above the horizon, there's an enormous amount of dust, and that refracts as it diffracts, bends light. So the moon looks massive compared to its normal size when it reaches up in the sky. Because I didn't know this about diffraction, all I knew was the moon was a different colour, and it was a science fiction fan very early on. And it would be so close, and I convinced myself, as we do with kids, as we do with beliefs about anything which is not true, as opposed to cryptids, I convinced myself that the moon was coming at us and it was going to hit the earth. I think that's probably a dream, isn't it? It was going to hit the earth, and that was it, we're doomed. It's the science fiction book for kids, Special Agent, because that was it. Now it was in there as well. I probably reinforced it afterwards. I found a book, science fiction book for kids, Angus McVicker, Special Agent. It's brilliant. I read it a couple of years ago. I found it again. Such a good book. Anyway, I was scared the moon was going to crash into the earth and we'd all be in space, weightless. I don't know, whatever a kid thought would happen next. It's a very poor year for blackberries. It's a very poor year. Usually blackberries would be, but where I live, that big, inch and a half, that's so tasty. This year, none, just little dry things. So little soil where I live that retention of water is very, very poor. And so, like here, no blackberries, no blackberry jam, no nuked blackberries. I don't feel a presence, I just hear noises. Yeah, sorry. Nuked blackberries, maggots and all, encrusted. If you can make the custard yourself, even better. And we're talking about creme anglaise, I'm talking about Bird's instant custard. Go back to the beginning of this, of these set of videos, and you'll see how I make it. So, quite simply put, cryptid is something that does not exist, or is alleged to exist, and there's absolutely no evidence for it. And we go from the Mirthman, the doggy person, man person, dog man, dog woman, Batman, Batwoman, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti. They don't exist. There's no evidence. There's no scientific evidence, there's no photographic evidence. Being cynical on purpose here. Prove to me. Ooh, look at this. This is as vertical. You don't catch the verticality of this, I'm telling you. There's a tree, and see that tree ahead there? I've got to make it. If I start running and I miss that, I'm in trouble. All the way down. Never go back. Anything that made you go unhappy, never go back. Ever. It's a mistake. Because the reason that you wanted to escape originally, is still there. People in groups together always end up maintaining a belief system. I don't know how to get out here. Maintain a belief system that is convenient for them. And if it was inconvenient for you in the past, then I can guarantee it will be inconvenient for you in the future. I mean, you know. They look stupid. If I was a kid, when I was a kid, I'd have come down here on a bike. Prior to going to end up in hospital having chewed a tree probably. This is what I used to surf and let's get back into that one. Went to the wrong beach once, and after that we came up with a phrase, chewing beach. Guess why? And I'm thinking, what's up for tea? I hope you have a nice tea. I hope you have a nice tea. Well, we made it. Heard strange noises. And as I say, very few animals. To be honest, I didn't see a single bird. Didn't see a single bird, didn't hear. Didn't see a single animal. All I heard were trees and noises in the background. You might have picked them up, I don't know. Oh yeah, and Frost, they're trying to phone me in the middle of the forest. Now, take care. Let's look after each other. And the sun is out.